All right, today we're jumping into a topic that's been around for, well, thousands of years and is a really big deal for millions of people. We're talking about tithing, and we're going to look at it through the lens of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So let's get right into it. So first things first, what even is a tithe? The word itself is pretty straightforward. It literally means a tenth part. And in the context we're looking at, it's defined as an offering of 1/10 of your income given to God. It's presented not as a suggestion, but as a core commandment. And yeah, that's the number, 10%. The idea here is that it's a flat rate, it's consistent, and the doctrine teaches that it applies to absolutely everyone, no matter if your income is huge or if you're just scraping by. Now, this idea didn't just pop up out of nowhere. The sources really stress that this is an ancient commandment, something with super deep roots that was eventually restored in modern times. I mean, just look at this timeline. We're talking way back in ancient times with figures like Abraham paying tithes. Then it becomes a formal law for the children of Israel. Fast forward a few thousand years, and boom, in 1838, it's officially reestablished for the church through Joseph Smith. And here are the exact words of that revelation. It says members should pay 1/10 of all their interest annually. Now that word interest is understood today to mean your income or increase. But what's really fascinating is the timing of this. This wasn't revealed during a time of peace and prosperity. No, this was 1838, a period when church members were literally being driven from their homes in Missouri. Okay, so we've covered the what and the when, but that brings us to the biggest question of all. Why? What are the spiritual reasons, the motivations behind this practice? Well, according to the teachings, it's about so much more than just money. It's framed as a pure act of faith. The reasons are all deeply personal. Things like showing you're grateful for what you have, showing your love for God by being obedient, and building your own trust that God will take care of you. And of course, it's also the practical way to fund the work of the church.
This verse from the prophet Malachi is absolutely central to the whole concept. It's basically a direct invitation from God. He's saying, go ahead, test me on this, see what happens. And the promise is huge, that he'll open the windows of heaven and pour out a blessing so big you won't have room to receive it.
And here's a crucial point. It's not about how much you give. It's about the sacrifice. This is where the story of the widow's mite comes in. You had rich people giving large sums, but it was just from their extra. But the poor widow? She gave 2 tiny coins, which was literally everything she had to live on. That's why the 10% rule is seen as being totally fair, because the sacrifice is what's being measured, not the amount. Okay, so you pay your tithing. Then what happens? Where does the money actually go? Let's follow the path from a local donation all the way to global action. The process they describe is actually pretty simple and direct. It starts with a member giving their tithing to their local bishop. From there, those funds are sent straight to church headquarters. And once they're there, a special council decides how to use that money around the world. And who's on that council? Well, it's the top leadership of the church, the first presidency, the quorum of the 12 apostles, and the presiding bishopric. The source material really emphasizes that they make these decisions prayerfully, seeking revelation on how to best use what they consider sacred fund. So what's the money for? The list is pretty massive. We're talking about building and taking care of temples and thousands of chapels all over the globe, keeping the worldwide missionary program running, printing scriptures, funding schools and education, and powering the huge family history work the church is known for. All right, let's zoom in from that big picture and get personal. The sources share some really amazing stories that show what this principle looks like in the day-to-day lives of real people.
This quote comes from a church leader named Elder Earl C. Tingey. He talks about how he learned about tithing not by reading a book, but by actually doing it when he was just a kid. You gotta see this. It's a page from his personal journal back in 1944. He was 10 years old and he earned $7 doing farm work. And you can see his little budget right there. After spending a nickel on candies and 20 cents on a movie, what's next on the list? Tithing paid 70 cents, exactly 10%. It's a perfect little snapshot of how this is taught as a simple, consistent habit right from the start. And then you have this powerful story about Widow Smith. The story goes that a clerk felt bad for her because she was so poor and suggested maybe she didn't need to pay tithing. Her response was incredible. She just said, "Would you deny me a blessing?" For her, it wasn't a bill to pay, it was her key to getting help from God. So when you put it all together, it's clear that tithing is presented as way more than just a financial rule. It's an ancient law, an expression of love, and a very personal test of faith, which kind of leaves us with a final question to chew on.
When a principle is set up as a test of your faith that comes with a specific promise, what does that tell us about the connection between what we believe and what we do?